who was put on sick leave from suffering a reaction to long-worn use of the mask.
We love you, Sydney!
I love all of you guys too. For those who don't know me, I'm Cindy McDonald. I'm a BSDN RN and I'm also the East Coast representative for the Canadian Frontline Nurses. I have been a whistleblower from 1 week into 2 weeks flat in the curve.
Okay, I'd like to continue your Zoom calls maybe once.
I am so pumped to see the crowd today. This is the resistance! You probably won't even see this on the news because it'll all be censored. But when we continue to do this, they can't hide it. It will come out. Everybody needs to share their videos today.
Yes!
Because we all have people on our Facebooks and other social media platforms who go against what we're doing. We come from an area of love. We don't want hatred. We just want them to wake up.
Yes!
I want to talk about just a couple of things. I want to talk about consent. There is no informed consent. Let's get that clear. There is no informed consent when it comes to an experimental jab. Informed consent is truly knowing the benefits, the risks, alternative treatment, and other measures that you can take. The government and even the doctors and nurses don't give you that. They don't give you that. And that is a crime. That is illegal, and that is punishable by taking away your license. But it's people like the Canadian Frontline Nurses and doctors that have been put on leave for spreading truth that have been dismissed. And all we ever were wanting to do is make awareness. Everybody needs to spread the truth.
Right.
Doctors and nurses, like Ken said, we've been under a gag order. Now there's a lot of people that say nurses and doctors haven't been under a gag order. It's on our colleges' websites. We're under a gag order. We're not allowed to discuss anything going against the COVID narrative. As doctors and nurses, we've always been able to challenge anything in medicine. That's how we move forward. That's how we make progress. That's how we change treatment that's effective. But when something is not allowed to be challenged, you're silenced, you're dismissed, you're fired, or your license pulled, that's a crime. That's a crime. I want to mention one thing. Everybody is familiar about the adverse reactions and deaths reporting sites. Did you know there's 11? Did you know there's 11? VAERS is just one. Canada's reporting site is Health Canada. Canada's reporting site stopped reporting on June 30th. They won't take any more right now. As of June 30th, this past year, VAERS reporting site, did you know the VAERS reporting site, the whistleblowers from within, have said that it's 1% on their reporting site for adverse effects and deaths. 1%. Now I'm going to tell you something. VAERS updated their reporting site just the other day. Did you know that? I'm going to give you stats from VAERS, and I want you to keep in mind it's only 1%. VAERS, approximately 1 million people had adverse reactions in the last 11 months due to the COVID jab. But do you want to know how many people on their site have had adverse reactions from all vaccines? In over 30 years is 1.7 million. 1.7 million in over 30 years of all vaccines. Of all vaccines. And the COVID jab is 1 million right now in 11 months. Other jabs or other vaccines have been shut down at 26 adverse effects or deaths. months. Another one was shut down years ago for 52. This is a crime against humanity, period. This is mass genocide. I want to read a declaration that we put together. It needs to be heard again. Many doctors, nurses, healthcare workers have lost their jobs in New Brunswick and have been silenced by their associations, college, management, and facility in which they are employed with gag orders. It is time to find each other and form a coalition here in New Brunswick and across the nation. We need to gather, collaborate, and make a public declaration like the Barrington Declaration. Somebody mentioned to me that they didn't know what the Barrington Declaration is. I'm just going to read it briefly. The Great Barrington Declaration, it was created by healthcare workers, a lot of doctors and nurses. The Great Barrington Declaration is a statement advocating for alternative approach to the COVID-19 pandemic, which involves focused protection for those most at risk and seek to avoid or minimize the social harm of COVID-19 lockdowns. This was signed in October 4th, 2020. So back, we have grave concerns about the damage and physical and mental health impacts of the prevailing COVID-19 policies and recommend a collective approach. Not a government mandate which leaves no room for discussion that has caused more harm than good, which goes against our ethics, our standards, and our oath. Please contact me if you are a doctor or a nurse. My email is Canadian Frontline Nurses East @protonmail.com. Again, Canadian Frontline Nurses East @protonmail.com. We have been silenced too long. We won't be silenced anymore. Yesterday, I was speaking before for a few days with a doctor, and it has already begun. Dr. Ron Samuels was the first doctor to speak publicly in our province at the legislation building in Fredericton. Join Dr. Ron Samuels and myself, and we need to get this going for our province. Thank you.